The legal world is filled with complicated jargon and confusing mixed messages, but one attorney is here to kick the doors wide open so you can make sense of it all. Welcome to Zanes Law's Personal Injury Legal Tips with your host, Doug Zanes.
Hey guys, this is Doug Zanes. Welcome to my weekly show. For those of you who haven't tuned in to listen to one of my podcasts before, my name is Doug Zanes, and I'm the owner of a law firm named Zanes Law. And we have offices throughout Arizona. We handle primarily, or really all we handle are personal injury cases, different kinds of injury cases, but all injury cases. But in my show, I'm happy to talk about any legal issue that any of you guys have questions on. So if you have a question, you can certainly email it to me at dzanes, Z-A-N-E-S, at zaneslaw.com. And I'll get that and figure out what we need to do to, get you the information that you need. If I've got to bring somebody else in, another attorney who maybe focuses on that area of the law, I'm happy to do it. We can easily make that happen. But the idea here is to answer your questions, give you a lot of information about the legal system or legal issues so you can navigate through the process on your own, or at least with a knowledge base. Today, I want to talk a little bit about the misconception that simply by bringing a claim against an insurance company for your injury, the misconception that bringing that claim is the same as suing somebody, because it's not. There's a big difference. And I think it's important because I talk to lots of people who have been injured in accidents, and they are concerned about suing somebody. They actually say, look, I'm not the suing type. I don't want to sue somebody. And I get that. I mean, suing somebody is not fun. And quite honestly, being sued, if you're on that end of a lawsuit, is no fun at all. But there is a big difference between bringing a claim and suing somebody. The way it works is if you're injured in some sort of an accident, if you're injured in a car accident, if you fall in a store and get injured, if if something else happens and you're injured because of what someone else does, or someone else really is to blame for that, you generally start by bringing a claim. You don't usually have to go sue somebody, right from the beginning. And the way you bring a claim is you actually find out who the insurance carrier is for the responsible party. And you call them up and you open a claim. You get somebody on the phone and you say, look, I want to open a claim. I was injured. Here's how it happened. They'll ask you a bunch of questions, and they'll actually get a file open within the insurance company. And so what happens is, though, to make that claim, you've got to have the insurance information. So if you get into a car accident, you want to make sure you get that insurance information from, whoever caused the accident, who they get their auto insurance from. Get the name of the insurance company, the policy number, the name of the at-fault person. It may not necessarily be the person that owns the car or the person who's actually insured by the policy. You want to make sure you know who that is. And then you call the insurance company up and you make a claim. I mean, that's what we do with new clients. If you are hurt on someone else's premises through a slip and fall or a case or some other event, you want to actually get the insurance information for that store. You want to ask them for it. Now, I mean, sometimes the manager can be difficult and they can refuse to give it to you, and we typically go and get that for our clients. But you need their insurance information in order to open up an insurance claim. I mean, it only makes sense, right? And now by opening a claim, if your concern is that the auto insurance, the cost of that policy or the cost of the policy for the business owner will go up, it could. But I can tell you it goes up in minuscule amounts. If somebody causes an accident and a claim is open, the best example I can give you is if that person typically pays $500 for all their auto insurance coverage, meaning full coverage, over a 6-month period, and a claim is made, it maybe goes up, and again, I'm not an insurance salesman, but just based off of what I see, I would guess $25 to $50 every 6 months. And that's about it. And when you consider the fact that you've been injured, you have medical bills, and medical bills get real expensive real fast, and you have pain, you have suffering, you have lost time from work, you may have a claim that's worth $20,000, $30,000 or more. So the fact that their insurance policy costs them another $25 every 6 months shouldn't be a concern of yours. I mean, that's just my opinion. But even if the person at fault for the accident is a friend of yours, That's what insurance is for. The reason they purchase insurance is to protect somebody who they may accidentally hurt. Because, you've heard me say it before, unfortunately, accidents happen every day. There's nothing that we can do to prevent that. And, bad accidents happen to good people who don't deserve it. And so at the very least, you should be able to make that claim and go through that process without worrying about the impact or the effect that claim may have on whoever's at fault for it. So the advice I can give you is don't worry about that. Just get the insurance information, get your claim open. Now you've got to go through the claims process with the insurance company. And I can tell you, I've said it, and everybody I talk to about these, injury claims. The insurance company isn't there to help you. They don't view their job as to take care of you. Their job is to process that claim because they have to, since they sold a policy to the person who's at fault, and to pay out as little as possible. That's it. That is their job. That's how they view it. And that's their goal from day one. Now, having said that, though, 90% of the cases that we work on, and that's a lot of cases. We handle over 1,000 clients at any given time. We sign up, quite honestly, over 1,000 new people every year at the very least. So we handle lots of cases, and 90% of them resolve without suing anybody in the claims phase. And, and really what happens is you go through the process, you get your medical care, you get better, or if you don't get better, we have you see the doctors that you need to see to find out why you're not getting better, what your actual injuries are. And then we deal with the insurance companies or the insurance company for the at-fault party. And through that process, typically we find a resolution without having to sue anybody. Now, having said that, if we resolve 90% of our cases without suing anybody, obviously we sue on about 10% of our cases. And that is a lot of cases. When you look at the number of cases that we handle, suing on 10% of them, it means we file a lot of lawsuits. Because the insurance company isn't willing to be fair. They're not willing to do what they should do to fairly compensate our clients. So we go and sue. Now, keep in mind, and I think this is an important distinction or important fact, I guess. When you sue, you're not suing the insurance company. You're not. You're suing the person who is at fault for your injuries. That's who you're suing. So if you think about car accidents and who you typically spend your day riding around in a car with, it's usually family members or friends, people that you know, certainly. Now, again, if you're riding around in a car and somebody you don't know runs into you, okay, now you're suing a stranger, you're bringing a claim against a stranger. But if the person driving the car that you're a passenger in runs a red light, again, it's an accident. They didn't mean to, and they certainly didn't mean for you, their friend, to get hurt. But they run a red light and cause an accident. You're a passenger in that car and you get hurt. The person you're suing is your friend who's sitting next to you, who is driving that car. And you need to understand that. Sometimes it's a friend, sometimes it's a spouse, sometimes it's, somebody, a neighbor. But that's who you're suing. And that makes a lot of people very uneasy. I can tell you some states actually don't allow a husband to sue a wife or a wife to sue a husband under that exact scenario. So if you're the passenger in that car and you get hurt, you really don't have a place to make a claim to get compensated for your injuries. And insurance companies love being able to do that because, again, they get the fact that when I'm driving my car, if I have a passenger, it's probably my wife. And if I cause the accident and she can't collect against me, that's a good deal for my insurance company. They love that. The state of Arizona doesn't allow them to do that, but other states do. But that can make people very uneasy. People don't like being sued. So imagine if you sue your husband or your wife and they take that personally, they don't like that. How's it going to be when you go home that night? How's that evening going to be? How's the rest of that week going to be? And so, it's a big deal. But if the insurance company isn't going to fairly compensate you and you've been hurt and your spouse was at fault for the accident, that's your only option, is to sue them. They then hand that lawsuit over to their insurance company. And because of the insurance policy, which is a contract, the insurance company has to now defend your husband or wife who caused the accident. They hire the attorney. They pay the attorney that defends, let's just say, your husband, and fights really for the insurance company's best interest, for their interest, but technically their client is your husband, and they're fighting you when it comes to paying you to compensate you. It's a strange system, but that's how it works. But it's important to understand because that makes people uneasy, but that is how it works. Once you sue, then that's a whole different process than the claims process. It's a much more complicated process. It's a much more time-consuming process. It can be a much more difficult process. It certainly isn't a fun process for somebody who's been injured to go through. And we really try to explain that in great detail to our clients. We really try to communicate well and make sure they understand all the ins and outs. Because where I never want to end up is, for example, at the end of, let's say, a trial. When a jury comes back and gives us a verdict, I don't want a client to sit there and say, had I known this process was going to be so lengthy and so difficult, I would have settled it 9 months ago for whatever was being offered. And that is important. And so we take great care to communicate all the ins and outs and all those issues to our clients. So for the purposes of this, I just want you to understand, if you're suing somebody, it can be a very difficult, very lengthy, certainly not a fun process, but it's part of the deal. And if you're suing somebody, I'm going to assume that you really have found a good attorney who you trust, who you like, who's helping you bring that lawsuit to get compensated for your injuries, because that's very important. If you have an attorney who you don't believe in, who you don't trust, who you don't feel has your best interests at heart, that can make the process more difficult. So that's an important piece, that you have the right advocate for you. I mean, I can tell you our perspective has always been our clients are under our care, they're under our protection and our guidance. That's how we view it. We're here to care for them, we're here to protect them, and we're here to guide them through the process. That's very important. I think you need that if you're going to sue somebody and you're going to go down that road. But those are the basic ins and outs, the differences between a claim and suing somebody. At least that's the briefest synopsis that I can give for you. So I hope that's helpful. Tune in next week. We'll have a whole new show. See you then. And again, if you've got topics or things that questions that you have, you can certainly email them to me at D. So D is for Doug, Zanes, Z-A-N-E-S, at zaneslaw.com. Have a great day.
We've come to the end of this episode. For more amazing information to help you wade through the confusing legal world, visit zaneslaw.com. We'll see you next time on Zanes Law's Personal Injury Legal Tips.